It's my pleasure to introduce Joy Alpuerto Ritter. I hope I pronounce it well. And,
yes, perfect.
And we are going to talk about your piece, Babae, which is gonna be presented or was presented, depends on when our audience is watching this interview, at the Bratislava Movement Festival. So maybe we can start with the title. How comes or from where this title come?
Yes,
came?
Babae means woman in Tagalog. Tagalog is a Philippine language where my roots are from. And yeah, I chose this name because the solo was actually inspired by the witch dance of Mary Wigman, but I didn't want to call it a witch, so I chose just woman, which is more neutral, which I really like. And I just wanted also connected to something that is really connected to my identity and to my roots. So I chose Babae, and I think I really like the name and the pronunciation. So yeah.
And what did you like, or what was why Mary Wigman is an inspiration for you?
So actually in the Palooka school where I was training as a young student, I was able to learn the original Mary Wigman witch dance. So we really learned the original with the mask and with the costume, and we learned each movement from the video, and then one choreographer extended. So I was able to embody it in a young age myself. And then like about 15 years later, there was this event called the Witch Dance Project in Berlin, Sophienseele. And they asked me if I want to choreograph my own version of the witch dance inspired by Mary Wigman. So I thought it was very interesting because I've learned the original, and after 15 years with my own perspective and experience and knowledge, how would I create my own version of the witch dance? So that's why how the piece came together, and that's how I started really researching about, again, with her movements and trying to find my own movement vocabulary.
Yeah, your background is very diverse. So I think the movement vocabulary is influenced from many sides. What is the most influential for you at the moment?
Well, at the moment, so I learned as a young child, I learned Philippine folk dance from my mother. I actually grew up in Germany, but I'm happy that my mom was able to teach me some traditional dances from the country I'm actually, my roots are from. And I was sure that I want to involve one of these elements from that dance into the witch dance. And I was also very active in the hip hop culture. I was at a lot of hip hop battles and also voguing balls. So for me, I was kind of searching a way of movement that connects to femininity, and was searching for a quality that is very sensual, but also very vulnerable, but powerful, and at the same time also dramatic. So I wanted to show many qualities of a woman actually in this piece.
Yeah, what I really like about the piece is that it's very physical. It's a strong physicality in it, but at the same time you can feel this spiritual background, which you carry with you. So it's really very interesting and make it very strong, and for me very attractive. There are really special hands in your piece. What was the inspiration for that?
Yes, so I mean, in general, I love to use my hands even when I talk. I think it's part of my education, like from the Philippine folk dance. I also learned Hawaiian dance, and we always tell a story with our hands, and it's very ancient. And I also like this kind of proudness that some of the folk dances have, and it's very spiritual. And I was also very inspired by, in general, traditional dances that have a spiritual element in it. And I like to play around. So there's moments of this kind of talking birds. In my head, there can be many things. It can be like an outer force is trying to tell me something or wants to show me a direction where I should go, because the whole dance is like kind of a ritual. or it can be like an inner voice or the ancestor speaking to me. And in this kind of playful way, I used my hands as that kind of articulation of almost, it's a solo, but actually I'm dancing with many around me somehow that influence me, I learn from. So it's like those souls that are part of this kind of ritual are with me. And I thought this would be a great idea to use. Yeah.
And you are using also these pots. They have also something to do with the ritual or some Philippine tradition, or what they are there?
So the pots in Tagalog means banga, and there's a dance called banga, and it's actually danced by women. So their story is that they have lots of pots and they go up into the mountains, go long ways in order to fetch water and food and to bring back to their family. So they have a lot of responsibility. And for me, this kind of shape of a pot also, I connect with this kind of witch of, you know, cooking your portion, or, you know, magic. So you can put many images into that pot. And I thought I chose 5 pots because for me, represents like 5 elements of earth, water, fire, and fire,
air.
and the human, and the air, and the human. So kind of these elements connected to nature. So I thought this is a great number. And that's why they have all different colors, and they're all settled in the beginning first around the stage, but then they slowly come into a circle, which for me means, okay, everything's gathering and the ritual can start of kind of this continuity.
And as you said, like it's something like as a ritual of a nowadays woman. So what kind of picture of nowadays woman you wanted to create by this piece?
I think I didn't want to, there's not just one picture. It's more feeling. For me, it's, I mean, first of all, because I'm dancing in it, I connect to it. So I think there's a lot of that from my energy that is project inside the solo, of course. But I'm also inspired by the voguing dance elements, hip hop, lots of isolations. And for me, I think every woman has so many qualities and so many feelings and phases we are going through. In time also, I mean, you're different maybe when you're young than when you're much older. Your experience changes, your perspective changes. So for me, I really wanted to play with that different qualities. So, and also to play with beauty versus ugliness. Because also witches, I wanted to play with that idea of a witch. Okay, what is a witch? I mean, people think, okay, it's an ugly witch, or it's very beautiful, but it's very evil. So, and to find movements that maybe are very pretty, but also very distorted and ugly. And so I also go through kind of many transformations that have also this kind of animalistic energy. Because in the Asian and the Indonesian culture, actually, witches are able to transform into animals. So there are many sagas and you know, stories that really inspired me to create material. And for me, it also made sense to go through that transformation from the ground, from the animal into a human, into a woman. So I think there are many pictures, but I think, yeah, it's a journey for myself as a woman, I guess. And I hope people or women, but actually also men, can feel that journey. So whatever human. Yeah.
Great. Thank you. Is there anything else you would like to add to say about the piece? I think I like.
I think, yeah, it's very physical, and towards the end it really goes more into a way of trance, I would say, through a really physical repetition, where I try to really push myself physically into kind of really real exhaustion, through a certain pattern of movement that is also inspired by voguing. I call it the hair whip. And I also have this kind of element of glitter, which represents for me, it's red, so it can represent for me blood from death or from birth or from life. It also can represent, because it's shiny, the magic that is happening around, or it represents the energy that is, you know, sparkling out. And for me, those moments are quite intense. So, and it's almost like, you know, when you get into that kind of state, I mean, I try to kind of really feel that honestly. Then it's almost like you go through different versions of yourself. It's almost like a flashback of life, or even maybe your older ancestors are going through the body. So it's like electricity going through the body, and knowledge, and in the end, for me, the gathering of all the parts is meaning to carry the knowledge with myself into the future. So for me, that's kind of the symbol.
Right. Thank you for that rounding everything around it. I have 2 more questions, and one is, you know, even though the Bratislava movement is now, or this year, for 24th time in Bratislava, we are still somehow fighting that people are afraid to go and see contemporary dance, so they cannot understand it, or whatever reasons are. So what would you say to the people to encourage them to go and see contemporary dance?
I think it's always a surprise, and I think it's I think contemporary dance is like a big name for many different ways of work and movement. So it's hard to say this is contemporary dance, because it's so a big range. That's why it's always, I think, surprise to watch contemporary dance, because you're not sure what is gonna come up. But I think the variety of movement, and also the messages, I think contemporary work wants to share, I think is very something special, because there are different ways of how we can express something, or your message. So I think it's an exploration, and I think to be part of that journey as a viewer into contemporary dance into the future, and finding ways of movement and evolvement. I think that's also a good word, to be part of a transformation of evolvement, and seeing pieces that are maybe current in the world, or current themes or situations in the world. I think contemporary dance really checks those the situations or current problems in society, or in
issues with
issues, exactly. And I think that's also important to see how artists try to work that project and that perspective into a piece. So
that's great, because my last question is about how you are dealing as an artist with this COVID situation and all the pandemic and restriction and everything.
Yeah, it's not easy. I think we're all quite struggling to reschedule or to plan anything, because everything is changing, all the restriction regulations. But I think in the time where everything was quite more settled down, as an artist, I was able to reflect on my work, to reflect on the past and the future, and to regenerate energy and thoughts for the work. So I think it was a good moment for me to have that, actually. Financially, of course, it's another story. But so now I think for the mind, it was really good to just,
quiet down,
regenerate. And now trying to go back into normal, which is really hard and not possible yet. And I was living through traveling, and to a lot of touring, and that's getting more problematic. So each performance I'm able to do is I'm very, very grateful for that. And I also have done online performances through Zoom. Like we created a piece extra that works through online Zoom with interaction and live, which is also a very interesting experience, I must say. Very different, very technical, very, yeah. But nothing is comparable to live performance.
I think so.
I really think that the society, people, culture, we should really fight for not letting it die out, or that even people should even still should continue to appreciate live performance from body to body. Yeah. So come to the show.
Yes. Okay. Thank you very much for this. You have, I hope we will see you in Bratislava live.
Yes, I hope so too. I hope so too. Yes.
All the best till then. So
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.